Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? Sure, a lot of you are sick of hearing me drone on and on and on about the quarterbacks that are potentially on the Saints' radar in this draft class. Figured let's hear somebody else talk about it. Mike Triplett's as good as they come. He's good enough to join us every Thursday during the football season, and we get to call on him here today. Mike, great to visit, man. How are you?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. Let me just start with a big picture question. Where do you land on the possibility of New Orleans taking a quarterback in this draft, given, of course, they have Derek Carr, and they drafted a quarterback each of the last 2 years?
Yeah, I don't think any of those things would stop them from taking a quarterback this year in and of themselves. They are a franchise that is going nowhere until they find their next quarterback, their next long-term solution at quarterback. So whenever they get the chance to find that person, they drop everything else and get that person. I mean, I wouldn't even rule out trading up to number one for Cam Ward. The reasons that it's unlikely is it's so cost prohibitive that moving up from 9 to 1 is incredibly hard to do, especially when the team that has the number one pick needs a quarterback just as bad as you do. So I don't think that's going to happen. And I 9 and 40 aren't great value spots to take a quarterback. It means you have to like a quarterback there that nobody else likes. So the odds of the Saints being the one team that likes Shedeur Sanders or the Saints being the one team that likes Jackson Dart, I don't know. That feels a little slim to me. If other teams don't like them, why? I don't think the Saints will be like, we got a third round grade on this guy, but we're desperate, so we're going to take him. I don't think that's going to happen. I think the stars need to align. It needs to be Sean Payton loves Bo Nix or the Falcons loves Michael Penix. I don't currently have a read that they feel that way about either of those guys, but this is the time of year where they try to make sure that people like me don't know what they're thinking.
That is the interesting part. Not like my next question was going to be, what is your read on the circumstantial evidence? Like Kellen Moore didn't go to Shedeur's pro day, or they brought in Quinn Ewers for dinner, and they seem to be having a lot of conversations there. Like all of that. How do you sort of manipulate those pieces of the puzzle?
Yeah. We were having an internal text. Wait a minute. Does Kellen Moore not going to Colorado mean they really like him and they want to throw everyone off the set? And I'm like, well, they're doing a horrible job of that if that's true, because everybody has reported the Saints are interested in Shedeur Sanders this week, so that didn't work. I think it was probably more that Kellen Moore went on that one week trip where they got in a plane and they said, hey, we can knock off, 30 of the top 100 guys on our board in 1 week if we go to these 4 schools. But Kellen Moore does not go on every trip. He has not gone on every trip, obviously. I think we would probably overread into that situation if we were going to base it just on his attendance. But there is absolutely zero question that they are doing all their due diligence on quarterbacks in general, and that they are one of the most quarterback-needy teams, and they have a new head coach who's going to want to eventually draft his own quarterback. So they better be studying the hell out of these guys and taking it very seriously and going to dinner with as many of them as possible.
Mike Triplett, neworleans.football. How did the process work, Mike, when Sean Payton, Mickey Loomis, Jeff Ireland were all in the draft room? And how do you think that might, if at all, change with Kellen Moore in the draft room? As far as autonomy to make a decision, right?
There were a couple Dennis Allen years in there too. Yeah, I mean, Sean Payton had outsized power compared to probably Dennis Allen and Kellen Moore, but the theory behind the process was the same. It was, Jeff Ireland is responsible for putting these boards together, narrowing these boards down, putting grades on these, sending his guys out, double checking, triple checking on the guys that matter most. And then later in the process, once those boards have been built, Mickey Loomis sits in on the meetings, the coaches sit in on the meetings, they give their preferences, they meet the guys, they give their preferences, and they try to reach a consensus with Jeff Ireland, Mickey Loomis, and the head coach being the 3 people whose opinions matter the most. If they ever got down to damn it, this is my guy, damn it, this is my guy, I think in theory Mickey Loomis has always had final say. There's famous stories of Sean Payton going rogue in the draft room when they were definitely going to take Ryan Ramczyk that year, and he got Reuben Foster on the phone, and he was gonna jump their draft order and try to convince them to go Reuben Foster. But I mean, the whole idea is that they have these discussions before the clock is ticking on them, and they know who they like better. And if it comes down to this guy and this guy, they all agree it's going to be this guy. So, I would say Sean Payton probably had more power than Kellen Moore is going to have, but the idea is that it's three top people having similar power that will likely come to an agreement conclusion, and not some sort of a standoff at the last second.
Mike, what do you think if of the possibility, like if they do write Shedeur Sanders' name on the card at 9? What would you think of that?
There's nothing that would excite me more covering the Saints than them having a conviction in a quarterback that they could get with the 9th pick in the draft. Except for maybe them having conviction on a quarterback they can get with the 40th pick in the draft. If they love a guy and they can get him at 9, nothing would be more exciting to cover in OTAs, minicamp, week 1, year 2 than their guy. Like I said, I really hope they don't try to force themselves into taking a guy with a 3rd-round grade because they're like, it's the best we could do, let's try it. But if they're like, no, we love this guy. If they talk about Shedeur Sanders like Sean Payton talks about Bo Nix, then that would be wonderful. I don't want them to force it. I don't want them to settle. I don't want them to be like, this is the best we can do, though. And my guess is the stars probably won't align. But if they do, that would be the most exciting thing we could witness.
What do you think will happen with Shedeur then? I'm curious.
I really don't know. I mean, it is so tough to get a gauge. I mean, it only takes, as I always say, it only takes one team to like him. But yeah, I mean, this could be one of those Aaron Rodgers situations. But then again, I would have said the same thing about Justin Fields, Mac Jones, J.J. McCarthy, Michael Penix, Bo Nix, and all those guys ended up going in the top 15. I don't think it's a Desmond Ridder or Malik Willis situation. I bet he ends up going top 15, top 20, maybe 3 for all I know. But it's a really tough one to read, and I think that's why he is by far the most. No one's talking about Cam Ward. No one's talking about Abdul Carter. Everyone's talking about Shedeur because of that unknown, and because of obviously the star power around him and everything else.
Yeah, Cam Ward, by the way, the updated odds I looked at today, Mike. Cam Ward is minus 20,000 to be the first overall pick.
So I can bet 20,000 to win $1.
To win $100. To win $100.
Oh,
yes.
Good. All right, well then I'm going to do it.
I mean, it just goes to show you, like, everybody knows that's what's happening. Travis Hunter is minus 250 to go second overall. And by the way, Abdul Carter is minus 175 to go 3 overall. Yeah. So it's likely Shedeur gets past those first 3, which is probably, if it goes that way, when the draft really starts. But like you said, we don't ever know. Is there a scenario, Mike, outside of 9 where if it is a day 2 or 3 quarterback that would excite you?
It would excite me if we got intel that Kellen Moore was just drooling in the film room and saying, this is the guy to run my offense. Like, they're all so different. Jackson Dart is so different from Shedeur Sanders and the Louisville quarterback, and obviously Jalen Milroe. And I mean, for me to say this is the guy that fits Kellen Moore's offense, I could probably, squint and tell you who I like best. But if I find out that, ever since February, Kellen Moore has been saying, whatever it takes, I want this guy. And they trade up to 25 and they get him because they're so convicted that this guy was born to run my style of offense. That would excite me. That's what I hope the Saints eventually find. But it's a lot easier said than done.
Sure. It's also something, Mike, where I look at the success Kellen Moore has had in different spots, and like Dak Prescott, Justin Herbert, like these quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts, they're all very different from each other stylistically. So is there really a mold? Like in talking to Kellen Moore?
You're exactly right. There's not a mold. I mean, I think it's probably Kellen Moore's a great strength of his, that he has been so adaptable and versatile, and he's a chameleon. But it's made it very hard for us to say, well, he obviously is going to want this style of receiver. He's obviously going to want the tight end, or he's obviously going to want this style of quarterback, because he's shown an adaptability, and he's said that at every turn. We talked to him throughout Super Bowl week. We talked to him ever since he's been hired. I mean, he went to get to go to work with Justin Herbert. He's like, well, I'm going to do a lot of things that Justin Herbert does well. Then he obviously very famously goes to Philadelphia, and he's like, all right, I've never been a real run-first guy, but I've got this offensive line, and I've got Saquon Barkley, so let's go run for 2,000 yards. So, no, you're exactly right. I mean, he might have a vision for Jalen Milroe-led offense, and he might have a vision for a Quinn Ewers-led offense. And we don't get to obviously say, oh, we know exactly what his style is.
I hope it's not Jalen Milroe, Mike. If it's Jalen Milroe, I'm out.
I hope, I mean, I think the stars would align better for his guy to be a 2026 draft pick, probably. I think there's some exciting names in it, especially locally. I think it's supposed to be a little bit of a deeper class, so you get a little more bang for your buck wherever you're picking. And unfortunately, I will predict the Saints to be picking somewhere around 9 next year. This doesn't feel like this is the draft class you're going to get the value to me at quarterback. So I go ahead and use that 9 pick on another foundational piece. But like I said, quarterback trumps everything. If they have a first-round grade on a guy, take him. Take him and be happy to take him. If you have a third-round grade on a guy, you don't force it.
Great segue. My final question. In your estimation, what is the biggest need at 9?
Yeah. Future 3-time All-Pro or more.
At what position?
That really is. I mean, I say that a little facetiously, but I've never covered a Saints team quite like this, where we could really list every position, Matt, and it's a need either now or soon. And there's nothing this team needs more than, all right, who's on the first line of, all right, this is what the Saints have to build around. When you talk about the Patriots, you say they have Drake May and Christian Gonzalez. Like the Saints need they have this guy and this guy. And is it Tolly Flog and Chris Olave right now, even though Olave's only got 2 more controllable years on his contract? Like, whoever that is. Now, I would say, in general, it's the first time they've been picking in the top 10 since 2008. When you get a number 9 pick, I think that would be a great place to take a defensive end or a left tackle. Those guys just aren't as good when you get them in round 2 and round 3. Get them in the top 10, you get cornerstones at defensive end or left tackle. I don't love the choices at defensive end and left tackle in the top 10 in this year's draft, unfortunately. So I don't know if the stars align there, but ideally I would fill defensive end or left tackle. But more than anything, even if they end up taking Ashton Ginty, which would make me squirm a little bit, as long as it is a guy that is one of the 10 best players in this draft class, that's what they need. They need foundational pieces.
Please, not Ashton Ginty. There's
just so many other.
Mike, I've said there's 2 things. Like, you want to see me do one of the red face, bald head, sweating rants. There's 2 things. Move up from 9 or draft a running back. Like, you need your top level draft capital. You can't give up future years of ones because, as we said, you need everything. And running back, no position depreciates faster than that, and you're nowhere close to winning. Like, you cannot go draft a running back at 9.
I agree. I agree with that. And my other anti-running back argument is it's the one position where I think you find really good ones for cheap in free agency or in the middle rounds of the draft. Like, really good ones. Yeah. You don't find really good left tackles and defensive ends cheap in free agency. You don't find really good left tackles and defensive ends in the middle rounds of the draft.
Mike Triplett, neworleans.football. You'll get him on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, at Mike Triplett. Read stuff over at neworleans.football. Thanks, man. Always appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.